I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is October 13th, 2021, and in this video I'll be doing I'll be blowing out my sprinklers with a simple pancake compressor. Okay, here's what I'll be using myself to blow out my sprinklers. It's just a simple Dewalt pancake compressor, and I'll put up my link in the show notes to it if anyone's interested. I'll be setting the pressure to about 80 psi to blow stuff out. Now, one thing that's going to be different than this and using a big commercial system or hiring someone to do it is the volume. This is going to take a while. We have a small little system. There's only so much air. We can get plenty of pressure. We just don't have the volume. So we got to rinse and repeat a lot compared to somebody you can pay $30 to come and blow your sprinklers out. Much simpler to have someone else do it, but you can do it yourself with a pancake compressor. It just takes longer. Another thing you also need is some kind of coupling system. You may have to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and go to their brass aisle and try to make something. I'll show you what I have as I got here and do it. But you may have to make some different systems to deal with whatever you have. So everyone has different systems, so you might have to go get some parts and put them together. So with that, we'll get going. Okay, so I got this big old rainbird. So what I want to do, I'll do a couple things. I'll just turn it off, so I don't need to worry about the sprinklers going off at all. But also it's winter time, so I'm done with it. So I'm also just going to unplug it, which is this one. Boom. Until next season. So we're totally dead, so we have nothing to worry from this guy. So we are unplugged and good to go there. Okay, next thing you need to shut off the main valve, not your main water valve, but your valve to your sprinklers. So in my house, we've got the main water line coming in here. So if I want to shut everything off, I can flip this lever. But here in my house, this one goes to the house, this one goes to the sprinklers, and so I'm going to just go shut it off. Now, if you're unfamiliar with levers, unless you're doing something crazy, how they work is if you do this, it's in line. So in line means the water is going to flow. This way, it's cutting it off. So you can see here we're cutting it off. And now, so there's water here, and we've cut the pressure off, but there's still water in here. So we have to back drain this. So, and actually right here, we'll come back to this. There's a little, in my case, I've got a little tiny cap here that I'm going to take off and back drain into here, so I'm going to get a bucket. Okay, so I got my air compressor. I got my air compressor plugged in, and I got it powered up. So we're pressurized to about 160 psi on this guy. And now this guy, we have the pressure in the tank, and then we have the pressure coming out. So here, in this case, with this model, I can just change this, and so you can see I can make it higher. But I want to be right. I want to be at 80 when I'm normally doing stuff. But right now, I'm not going to blow out the sprinklers at first. I'm going to blow out what's in my house. And for that, I'm going to go much, much lower. So I'm just going to go really gently and probably go like 30 psi. I mean, I can have it 80, but there's not that much water to blow out inside. And actually, gravity will do a lot of it. I could do it that way, but I'm going to push just a little bit more.
So you're blowing out the water that's left in the tube?
Left in the house.
Yeah.
So let's go around and show that real quick. Oh, I forgot to get my brass fittings here, which I need. Okay. So what I'm going to do first is my sprinkler is still on. And so for those who don't know, these are the typical, valves here, and they're controlled electronically, but I can take this and turn it. If I turn it, that'll open up the valve. So I'm opening up the valve right now just to relieve what little pressure's in the line right now, just to get that out. So I'm just going to open that up and just leave that open for the moment, just so we don't have that remaining water pressure in there. So now, coming back to this guy, here we are coming from the house. So what I want to do is back drain this, because I don't want any water in here either. So you can see here's these valves. So we'll turn that to block that. We'll leave this one open because we want to push it in. And in fact, we don't have to do this, but you can probably use...
Where does this one go?
Huh?
Where does that one go?
That one goes down here and hooks up to this guy right here.
Oh, to your sprinklers.
Yeah, that's hooked to my sprinklers. Hooked to our sprinklers.
Close that one off.
Yep. And so...
And this is your backflow. So if too much water comes, it flows in there?
Yeah, because you don't want... one thing you don't want is you don't want something weird to happen in your sprinklers where the water flows back into your system. And that's handled different ways. I couldn't tell you all the particulars of this, but also here, the pressure to get so high to get back in here we don't want dirty water getting back into our house water, so. Oh, it's a little too tight. Okay, I need to go, give me a minute, I need to go unhook this piece. Okay, so I got my piece here off. So what I gotta do, shut that one off, leave this one open, we're on top of that one, and I can screw this little guy in, this little brass piece I bought, which will attach to my compressor. Boom. And, well, what I can do here is I need to open this up, but right now, I'll leave it closed. So now, see that's crossing that way? It's closed, which will be a good idea because let me hook my compressor on. I don't want it to quite do much yet.
Isn't it going to blow it back in the house?
It'll blow it back in the house, yeah. Because what we're going to do, we want all the water out. Some of the worst, this is the brass stuff, this is probably the worst stuff to have water left in. Because once that freezes, it's going to crack. And I don't want it to crack back here. Now, where we are right now, since we shut that water off inside, if that's all you did, and it froze over the winter and broke, you're going to have some expensive repairs. But what's going to happen, the only stuff that can get in your house is from here in, that water. And you're talking, 3, 4, 5 gallons of water. You're not going to get much damage. Not fun, but not much. So if you have no capabilities, and all you do is shut that water off inside, you saved yourself a world of hurt. But you still have some hurt. It's better to drink.
These are still full of water.
These are all still full of water. So what I'm going to do here is this compressor's at 30 psi right now. It's hooked in. That's open. And if I do this, let me see. Get my brain going. Okay. So we got some pressure. It's going to help us push that. It's still closed on the other side. Yeah. But it's going to help push it a little bit. So now we got that. Let's go downstairs, get our bucket, and empty out this water. Okay. So we have that portion closed off in between here and where we have the pressure going in the air compressor. So now it should be able to push it back a little bit. Gravity would work too, but we might as well push a little bit more and kind of clear it out. Now what would be nice is to get somebody plumber in here and put me a nice beautiful valve so I can drain this a lot better. But what I have right now, if you can see this, I got a little tiny nub here, a little knurled cap that I can take off. Yeah. See that? So I can... Now what's going to happen as I take this off, because there's water all in here, I don't know if we can get a good angle on this, I'm going to get sprayed. So I'm going to just try to do it gently. Yeah.
So the only way to get the water out of that pipe is through into the house. You can't get it out of the house. You can't compress it out of the house.
So for those who may not have heard my wife, oh look, so we've got a little, there we go, so.
It's peeing.
It's peeing, it's got a hole there, so that helps, but still it's hitting the wall a little bit. So, my wife is asking, why can't we compress it out? That could happen if I had a nice place to attach here. So that would be a nice thing. If you're thinking about it and you get a plumber in here, have something where they put on here where you can compress and push it all the way out. And nicer way to do it, but this works, so see if you can see a decent angle on there. You can see, I'm just draining the whole thing.
So what is this, like 5 gallons?
Well, this is 5 gallons. I don't know how much we have in there. It's not much. I'd actually be surprised if we filled this bucket up. But who wants to watch film all that? So we'll close this off. We'll get the bucket filled. We'll get this blown out and we'll see how much water we have. So there we are. You can probably hear the air compressor coming through, blowing things out. So eventually I took the whole cap off. And that's all we got. We got air, you got a little bit of spewing, a little bit of water. We don't need this bone dry. If there's a little bit of water in there and it freezes, you're fine. But I can stay, I'm just getting a lot of air right now, so probably pretty good. So I will put this cap back on. Boom.
And don't turn that thing.
And as my wife was trying to make a point earlier, this is to remain off all winter long until you're ready to turn your sprinkler back on. Because you flip this, you just fill that back up with water, and your life is going to be miserable. So there we go, and that is, I probably got 8 feet here and 40 feet, and that's all the water,
Not much.
Yeah, gallon and a half, not much at all. So, and half a gallon on the floor. So be prepared to make a mess. So I made a mess. So now back outside, and we'll actually start with the sprinklers. Okay, now here comes the fun part. This is where it depends on your system. If you look at this, you got something like mine, you can kind of copy me. If you got something else, go look around YouTube, see what you can find. The whole idea about this is not getting water back up into your system. So, but also I've done something unique with my system, which I suggest you do. It's nice to have more valves. So what I'm going to do right now is normally you'd kind of plug into here, and that's what you use to blow things out. That's what most people do. They plug into here and they're done. But in my case, what I like to do is I got a lot of valves into all kinds of systems. So I've redone everything that was in here originally so I can shut things off. So what I'm going to do is I have a nice attachment here. So I'm just going to blow this out to here. So I'm going to take this thing off, which is something I did. And right now, there's no pressure. This is not going to pop.
Water should come out.
Water might come out because of gravity, but none of the valves are open. I shouldn't say. So we'll have, there we go, a little bit of water came out. So see, this valve's open, and these two are shut. So I'm going to blow everything out through here. And so I've closed that, that's open. So I just need to turn this little guy right here. There you go. More than enough. So I'll pop that off. They're closed, and there's no water here, no water there, but we got water there. So here is where I have a PV. This depends on what you did. I did my own thing, so I've got this thing, which actually is a hose size attachment. That's exactly what a hose would be. And I figured out which PVC thing would work for that, and so that's what I've done. Exactly. So your mileage, you can blow out whatever area you want. So your mileage might vary depending on what your system is. Most systems you just have the one thing, so you're staying stuck up there. Me, I've got this, everything's separate. And now as you hear my compressor going, which is very loud, if you're going to do a pancake compressor, this is what you got to deal with. So right now it's build up the pressure again. The pancake compressor can do 160 psi in my case. I need 80 psi. So I could use it right now. But the thing is I want to get it built up, and then here's my 80 psi, here's the 160, and so it'll drain pretty quickly, and then it'll kick in and try to pressurize it, but it can't as fast as it's going out, and eventually hit 80 and start to both go down. So the idea is you turn something on, you blow out the sprinkler, turn it off, blow it out again. So typically what I'm doing is every single zone, I blow it out 3 or 4 times. So I'll like open a zone.
Every time it has to build up more pressure.
Exactly. I'll open it up, let it go all the way down until I don't see the sprinklers pop up. Because when I connect this, you'll see the pressure is so high, of course, the sprinklers will pop up and start shooting out. And then the pressure will go down, the sprinklers will start to slowly go down, and they'll be under, and they'll just be gurgling. Then you can stop, let the pressure build up again, do it 3 or 4 times. Now, the argument from the people who are going to do it for you, and they're right, they got much bigger tanks. They can get a lot of that volume and just go, get all that water out. They're not going to get all the water out. Those guys don't get all the water out. They get a lot out in one big blow. I'm not going to be able to do that. I think, I would argue with these guys, it'd be interesting to do an experiment. I bet you I'll get more water out. As a car runs by. I bet you I'll get more water out after 3 or 4 or 5 times. But as long as you get most of the water out, if there's a little bit of water down there that freezes, you got no problem. So I did it last year, had no problem. Your mileage may vary. If you're squeamish, go hire a guy. They know what they're doing. You can blame someone else. But if you do it yourself or you want to take the risk, I've done this a couple years in a row. It's been working for me. So, okay. So I guess we, let me see. Yep. Okay. So I guess we can continue. So we'll just keep. So what we got here is I got that connected. We're pressurized. And then what I want to do is I want to close that off. So I'm not wasting my air back that way. All right. And then.
Turn that thing. Is that okay?
Huh?
You turn the back.
Oh, yeah, I do need to turn that back off. So
You need the pressure to build up.
I do need the pressure to build up. So, in fact, my seals aren't tight right there, but they're okay. So I'm going to do, this goes to my backyard, but I'll open up this one.
It goes to your front yard.
And we should see my sprinklers go off. So we'll get a close-up shot, but right now my sprinklers are going. And we'll let that go down, and then we'll get a close-up shot. Okay, here we go. So, another thing to remember is always when you're done with it, you have to close the valve. But here I'm going to open the valve. I'm going to let her loose. So of course we hear the compressor goes on. You can see the water is blowing out right now. You can also see air blowing out. But the sprinklers, you know, they pop up. They're above the ground. We got to give a little bit. And pretty much once we see the sprinklers go down, that means we no longer have enough pressure to really be blowing much water out. And then we close it, let the thing power back up again. Once it's all powered up again, then we do it again and rinse and repeat. I'd say, 3, 4, 5 times. And then we're good. So this takes a long time. Okay, so there's the deal overall. I'm not going to show you again and again and again, but the basic idea is we get the compressor, let it get all the way up, connect it up, open a valve, one valve at a time, let it blow out until it can't blow out anymore, and then close it. Let that compressor get all the way back up, and then do it again. I would say 3, 4, maybe 5 times. So it takes a long time to do it yourself. So you might have to think about that. You might want to pay, my wife just corrected me, I guess the guy doing it in our neighborhood, it's $45. $45 is not that bad of a deal for your time. I'm a do-it-yourselfer, I want to do it myself. So is it technically worth my time? Probably not. I could do something else and make more money, but I want to do it myself. But you can make it happen with a small pancake compressor. It's just going to take a long time. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. To subscribe, just click the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter under the handle @whiteboardcoder.com. View any code I may have thrown up as a gist at GitHub under the username PatmanDenver, or check out my blog site at whiteboardcoder.com.